Hello again, everybody. This is episode 5 of my little series TLO Party with me, Don Horatio. Game 5, I'll be bringing you a ZvZ between Liquid TLO and a strong player from the team TSL, one of many of the strong TSL Zergs. It is Revival. Let's get started with the game as soon as I switch over, and here we go. In the top right of the map, we have in the red, spawning on the top right of Entombed Valley, the red Zerg player. I've said red 3 times in that sentence. I'm an idiot. Anyway, it's Liquid TLO in the top right, representing Team Liquid, the red Zerg. In the top left, we have the aforementioned TSL player Revival, one of many good Zergs on TSL. There's also Symbol, who made that great run recently, and he's really come out of the woodwork and just shown that he's one of the best Zerg players in the world, frankly. As well as Shine is another one on the top of my head, and Revival has shown himself to be very, very good as well. Revival with no Overlord before 10, so I think he will be 10 pooling, whereas TLO does have that Overlord in the way, so I do not expect that from him as he makes his 10th drone. Yep, TSL Revival indeed going for this 10 pool. Very curious to see if TLO will go for a 15 hatch or not. It will really have an effect on how he handles this 10 pool. And there's the pool now, and it's basically to come down to what TLO decides to do, if his pool is before 15 or not, or before his hatch. Very curious to see what he decides to do and in what position he'll be to hold this off. But we should expect some micro very soon in this game, guys. Entombed Valley, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, ZvZ. Third bases is always a hard to take on this one for not a Terran or a Protoss. Like, you really don't want to like make units deal these rocks. Early third bases are pretty hard because of that. But that's not even. I mean, that does come into effect sometimes in this matchup. But the third base. Usually if the third base is taken, both players are kind of taking it at once, and those rocks are able to go down. Like, you don't see any quick thirds like you do against Protoss. So I think Entombed Valley is a fine map for this matchup. There's a lot of open space for Mutalisks if someone does decide to go Mutalisks. I think that's the only other thing I could think of. I mean, there's a lot of easy ways to get back into this space and attack this, and also come in over here. But it's not like a huge thing. And TLO does have his spawning pool go down before his hatchery, so that's a good start for him. And actually should probably put him in an advantageous position, because his Zerglings, if he makes enough, will be popping just as Revivals do. But Revival's actually not making too many Zerglings with this. How many else did he make? He only has 2 in the map right now, isn't making any more. So, interesting little macro 10 pool right there. Just wanted to get that queen out earlier. Interesting. I have not seen something like that before, and indeed both players put down their hatches, and TLO is a bit ahead of our 10 pooling Zergs, but interesting little strategy you see here from Revival, and Revival will sneak this Ling in to scout the base. Let's follow him, and he's not going to see too much of interest. He will see the spawning pool and no gases, so he can pretty much expect no sort of banelings anytime soon for our German hero TLO. First gas for Revival is now finishing, though, so he'll be looking to get probably that Zergling speed nice and early. Just build up that 100, bank up that 100 gas, and go for it. TLO now moving across the map with the Zergling as well, going to try and see what he can find out about his opponent's base. If he can get in and see that gas, that would be a huge plus for him. And right now, both players just kind of doing what they want to do, macroing up. TLO getting his second queen out to look to bring one down to his natural. And Revival does not have a second queen out yet, and has not quite started. No, he does have a second queen out. There it is. I'm just starting to lose it a little bit, but that's okay. Both hatcheries now about to finish, both natural hatcheries, I should say, for both of our players. And they will look to saturate those as quickly as possible. Queen's pushing away Overlords and such. TLO even making another queen. Gonna look to use one for perhaps creep or just having his extra defense. We'll have to see what he decides to do with that. They're more cost efficient than Zerglings, to be sure, on a defensive note, and can also spread the creep at the same time, so that's excellent for him. And TLO will look to indeed spread that creep with this one. The aforementioned Zergling speed is on the way for Revival, but he did not stop mining gas after that, so he'll look to add some more tech into his repertoire as he takes another gas down at his natural. TLO now going for 3 gases at once. He's been off it for so long. When he wants to get into the gas, he wants to really get into it. So that's excellent for him. Just good stuff. We'll likely see some more Overlord spreading very soon. TLO's got a couple in some alright places, but basically you want them on that line between you and your opponent so you can see the army movement at all times, and also in the airspace to make sure, just in case there's mutas or mass drops or whatever else you want to scout for in the air. Got to have those Overlords spread out as much as you can. TLO is going for a roach play. There's a Roach Warren and 2 Evolution Chambers, so double upgrades and roaches. Or maybe the upgrade, maybe the Evolution Chambers just for the wall's sake. He actually may not go for a double up. We'll have to see. Moving Queens over to double block that ramp. Killing the Creep Tumor there because it was in the way of that Spine Crawler that TLO wanted to plant. Which I think that actually, is that a full wall off? I believe it is. These are going to be completely unable to get in. They're going to try and pick off this Evo Chamber but do nothing. And this heavy Queen defense behind this wall is very interesting. The Spine Crawler can move whenever he wants to get out. Gonna see a Focus Fire on this Evolution Chamber, and he probably will get this Revival. He could have gotten if he stayed around, but I guess he doesn't want to lose those Zerglings. But nope, here he comes again, and likely going to try and finish the job, but no, not today. Let's see with Protective Revival. He's also going for that Roach play, but he's not having the Evolution Chambers up at all, so he will be behind the longer this game goes without going for upgrades. But he's making only Roaches right now. So he will have the larger Roach count if we take a brief look. Yep, he indeed has 12 to the 7 of TLO. But as soon as his upgrades get going, TLO will be in better shape. And I think Revival should attack soon to maximize the strength of his build, which is just Roaches early on and no upgrades. So we'll have to see what he decides to do with the support of these Zerglings, perhaps. But the 1-1 is now halfway done for TLO, which is basically as soon as those 2 upgrades are done, that will really turn the tide of the game in his favor. And Revival's going to look to attack before that, and here he does indeed come with a Doom group of Roaches. And this will be a tough engagement for TLO. The Queens will do next to no damage to these Roaches. The Roach is pretty good against the Queens. And but this wall will help, and the Spine Crawler, but looks like this plus, is that attack or transfusion the Evo Chamber, actually, and he might look to do that again almost. He does want to keep that upgrade alive. It's very important to him, and TLO's using his defensive concave to the best of his ability, but he does lose that Evo Chamber. One Focus Fire, the Roaches basically did that by itself. The +1 attack is still on the way, and I think it's a more important upgrade, so that's good for TLO. But he needs to deal with this army right now, and right now he can't make Roaches. That was the Roach Warren going down just there. And so he's relying entirely on Zerglings for defense until his own Roach Warren is up as well, and that's going to be quite some time. And great defensive concave for TLO, though. Revival not rearranging his Roaches at all and does take more losses than he should have, and he will now back off. Revival now getting his lair started. It's about halfway done. TLO has not yet started his. Looking to build another Roach Warren down here at the natural, and it's about halfway done. So he'll be looking to get that Roach production going as soon as he can. Now restarting that +1 armor upgrade and dropping another Evo Chamber is TLO. And his lair is now starting as well. Roach Warren now finishing up. We'll likely see some Roach production just to make sure he can keep that count up in a second. There we go. A couple now on the way. Gonna deal with these rocks, allow him to expand easier when the time comes. And both players are actually going for the rocks right now. So they've both decided to kind of settle back and go for a third base, and they're pretty even right now, except for the upgrade advance for TLO, obviously. The Roach speed will get done sooner for Revival, but he's only just now starting his +1 attack and his +1 armor, so TLO will be ahead in that exchange, but not by a whole lot. It kind of depends. I think TLO will be slightly ahead in the +2 attack, by not by much, and his 2-2 will finish at probably roughly the same time. About like maybe half a minute apart, but that would be about it. So it'll look to be pretty even soon, and both players dropping their third hatcheries at about the same time. TLO is slightly ahead, but both players see this via Overlord, one there and one there, so they know exactly what each player is doing, but they are both expanding at the same time. Not a whole lot they can do about it. This Overseer is going to move in and see everything, because there's really not enough Queens out to really deal with it, and that's the only anti-air in place for TLO. TLO right now is teching to an Infestation Pit, which Roach Infestor are a very strong composition in this matchup. Really needs to get keep these injects up. That'd be really good for him. But TLO looks like he's moving in, trying to take advantage of, well, he doesn't really have a timing here, but he just decided it was time to go for something. And it looks like he's getting the better end of this engagement, I think. The Roach count is slightly in his favor, but the reinforcements for Revival are much closer, and well, he'll force a cancel on this third hatchery. Almost for sure, but he needs to make sure not to lose all these Roaches in the process. There's the cancel, and that will put him ahead if he can basically trade these Roaches efficiently and build up defenses at home. And right now, the Roach production for Revival is significantly more if you look at the Roach count. But the Roach count's about the same right now, but TLO will lose the rest of these ones, obviously, as they fall piece by piece. Try to Focus Fire, do as much damage as they can, and take out what they can. And there it does indeed go. And if we look now, the Roach count is 20-9 in Revival's favor, and Revival's going to take this advantage to move out across the map. He needs to do some counter damage to TLO after losing that third hatchery. There are Spine Crawlers in there. Oh, he was building some here. I don't know where they went, but there's some over here. They won't be particularly useful at defending this natural expansion, and this is going to be a bit nasty for TLO, but a couple of Roaches do pop out at a very opportune time. And the Queen's also helping out with some transfuse and some extra DPS. Not a ton, but it's something. The Overseer does go down. And going to look to kill these Changelings off. There goes one, there goes two. The +2 attack is now on the way for TLO, and I do not believe the +2 is started for Revival. It is not. But both players right now just making roaches, but here's the engagement. Right next to the Spine Crawler, though, not where Revival won't engage at all. But TLO is still going to back off a little bit here. He may want to delay a bit until this +2 attack can finish. But right now, it looks like he's probably okay to engage here. He does have the defensive advantage and the reinforcement advantage here. A couple more roaches do come in. Let's just keep track of the roach count here as we go. Right now, it is indeed in TLO's favor, and will continue to be as long as Revival decides to engage here. And actually, these roaches up here for Revival are all trapped in, and they will all die. No escape for them, and Revival calls the GG. Basically, he lost that third base, and he just decided he was too far behind when he could not do any counterattack damage, which was probably right. Revival had no tech to fall back on. If you look at his production tab, he is only making roaches. Third base wasn't even attempted to be rebuilt. The gas was there for Revival, but he did not put down an infestation pit, did not start those +2 upgrades. He just did not have the economy after losing that, after being forced to cancel that third hatchery. And well played by TLO. He seized the opportunity to move in with his roaches and get that cancel when Revival just barely could not defend. And he traded his roaches away efficiently even after that and defended the counter with some good Spine Crawlers. They were kind of a weird spot, but they ended up being helpful over here, actually, holding this section. And he defended his third, and the defensive advantage won him that game at the end. So well played by TLO. He goes to 4-1 in the TLO Party Series, winning both of his ZvZs. He's only lost versus a Terran so far. Fnatic Raid calls Rain. But let's move on to episode 6, and if I remember correctly, that will be a ZVP, because I've only done one of those, and I will get to that as soon as possible. Look forward to episode 6, guys.